Hello, this is Chad. I'm the founder of conformtojesus.com, where the mission and goal is to share the gospel, the good news that God saves sinners to the entire world. Now, in this video, I want to talk about four major themes that interconnect the history of the Judeo-Christian worldview. The first is creation. Genesis 1, in the beginning, God, He created time and the universe by His power, turning nothing into something ex nihilo. He created the stars, the galaxies, fish, cucumbers, trees, giraffes, and of course His greatest work of all, mankind. And God placed the man Adam and his wife Eve in the Garden of Eden. It was a perfect environment, and He gave them the responsibility to tend to the garden and to take care of the animals. Meanwhile, there was a mighty angel who had fallen, as we know as Lucifer. He was once created perfect, rebelled against God because of pride and envy, and he was cast out of heaven and took on the form of a serpent. He tempted Eve to disobey God by eating something that God had told her not to do for her protection. And when this happened, both the man and the woman felt shamed, and the relationship with God became fractured. This is often referred to as the second major theme of the Bible, the fall of man, or as Christian scholars would say, original sin. And this means that human beings are no longer born with a moral good nature, but are born with an evil inclination to disobey authority. The struggle between good and evil continued in the first couple's family. One of their sons, Cain, murdered his brother, and several generations later, the world was filled with such violence and defiance towards God that the only man alive at the time, Noah, was extended grace. And God revealed to Noah that He would send a great flood to bring judgment on the people, and so He told Noah to build an ark. And after that flood, Noah and his family began to repopulate the earth. Noah's descendants, they birthed the start of Judaism by the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in around 1900 BC. Now, God promised to bless Abraham's offspring, and through that seed of the earth, all nations would be blessed. Jacob, the youngest of the patriarchal fathers, he had 12 children, and the 11th child, Joseph, ended up becoming a powerful force in Egypt for 400 years, until the Pharaoh of Egypt, Ramses II, enslaved them. Now, to rescue the Israelites, God had raised up a prophet named Moses from the tribe of Levi to bring the people out of Israel, out of Egypt, and back to the land which had been promised to Abraham. Once safely out of Egypt, the children of Israel camped at Mount Sinai, where God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, which was the basis of their covenant. In addition to the moral code, do not murder, do not steal, do not commit adultery, the law defined the role of the priest in offering of sacrifices to atone for sin. Now, atonement could only be made by the shedding of blood, of a spotless sacrifice. And the law also detailed how to build that holy tabernacle in which God's presence would dwell and where He would meet His people. Over the next several years, Joshua led the people of God through various battles, and they began to conquer many nations. However, they started to worship the gods around them and lost their identity. As a result, they no longer wanted God to be their king, but asked for a human king because they wanted to be like other nations. So God had granted their request, and Samuel anointed Saul as Israel's first king. Now, Saul was a disappointment, disobeyed God, and was removed from power. So God then chose David of the tribe of Judah to succeed Saul as king. God had promised David that he would have a descendant who would reign on the throne forever, the promised Messiah, which is Jesus Christ, who is God in the flesh. Now, David's son Solomon, he reigned in Jerusalem around 950 BC, but civil war broke out and the kingdom was divided. The northern kingdom was Israel and the southern kingdom Judah. And Israel continued to have wicked kings, and so God brought the Assyrian nation upon Israel in judgment. After the northern kingdom was destroyed, the nation of Judah was overtaken by the Babylonian Empire around 574 BC. This is during the time when the prophet Isaiah predicted that a suffering servant, Isaiah 53, would suffer for the sins of his people and be glorified, sitting on David's throne. The prophet Micah predicted that the promised one, would be born in Bethlehem. The Jewish people were deported into Babylon for over 70 years. And after they fell to the Persian Empire, the Jews were released to return to Judah. The Jews returned home to rebuild Jerusalem and the temple, and Malachi wrote the last book of Jewish history and prophesied that the Lord would come to his temple and that a future king would come into Jerusalem riding on a donkey. These are amazing truths. So in our next video, I want to talk through the third and four major themes that we see throughout Scripture, the historical narrative of the Bible. I thank you so much for listening to this video today. Please feel free to visit my website to learn more information about how to have a relationship with Jesus at conformtojesus.com. Thank you and have a blessed day.